What's up, guys? Mr. Dan here, back again with my third Christmas horror review. This time it's for Joe Begos' new film, Christmas Bloody Christmas, which debuted on Shudder this morning. And I'm calling this one my third Christmas horror review, because last year I did Mercy Christmas. I always forget my Prius turns off. Yesterday I reviewed The Leech, which just came out on Arrow streaming a couple days ago, and which stars many of the same people that are in this film, or at least features them. This was a fun one. I mean, very simple description. This is a robotic, like an animatronic Santa that malfunctions and goes on a killing spree. That's it. That's your movie on Christmas Eve. That's it. It is a good, fun, bloody, adult-oriented Christmas horror movie. I've seen all of Joe Begos' films now, except for Almost Human. What's the name of the one I just watched? Darn it. What's it called? The Mind's Eye. Okay, so I just watched The Mind's Eye the other day. Now, having watched The Mind's Eye just the other day, which features an axe very prominently. A lot of the effects in this are kind of similar to that. You have some head splittings and some head, almost like explosions, pretty much. This is pretty brutal. If you don't want to see any of that, I wouldn't watch the trailer. The trailer I saw actually showed kind of a lot. And just like the Terminator, very much like the Terminator, this Santa just keeps coming. And at the end, he has a few new tricks that you probably don't want to have spoiled. So I wouldn't watch the trailer if I were you. And it basically just follows a young couple. They're kind of friends, but maybe they're going to hook up on Christmas Eve, who are just going to hang out and do some drinking. And we got about 40 minutes into this film, and I said, wow, this is going to be a Christmas movie with no kids in it at all. Well, no, actually, there is one kid, and the fact that there's a kid in it does not mean that that family gets spared when Killer Santa comes calling. So basically it just follows this couple. They have some friends that own a store, like a toy store, maybe record store. Another good soundtrack from Joe Begos with some hard rock, heavy metal type sounds in the background, music in the background. They have an animatronic Santa that's saying Merry Christmas once in a while, and it gets to the point where it's annoying. And we do learn in the beginning that they're being recalled, and then the thing goes haywire and starts killing people. There's not a lot of character development in this film. You do get a sense of what type of person the main character is, played by Riley Dandy, quite well. It's a well-acted movie. It's a well-made movie. And, she's basically just a hard-drinking, foul-mouthed, kind of fun person. Lots of cool references. Her and her friend, who she may or may not be hooking up with, have these arguments about rock bands losing their edge once they cut their hair, and whether or not horror sequels are better than the original, and they're naming movies back and forth. So if you're a horror movie fan, this is a fun movie. Okay. Jeff Daniel Phillip is in this as well. You do see him in the beginning, and then he turns out he is preparing to go on to the night shift as a police officer. So when things go down in this film, the police are called. You know how that usually works, right? So a lot of the characters, as soon as you meet them, they're victims, and that includes some characters we know from other Joe Begos films, like Graham Skipper, and Jeremy Gardner's also in this. He has a little bit more of a substantial role, but he's not the main guy in this. And both of those actors were in The Leech, directed by Eric Pennycoff. And by the way, the cover art for The Leech could have been the cover art for this, because it's an axe wrapped up in Christmas paper. That could have easily been the poster for this movie, although the poster they have with the robotic Santa with the glowing eyes is actually better than that. But I just thought that was funny. So yeah, not a lot of character development, but it could have been condensed into like part of an anthology, or maybe expanded a little bit. You don't want to This is an hour and 27 minutes. You don't need this to be 2 hours long, certainly. But they could have expanded a little bit of the backstory with why the animatronic is going haywire. And but that's okay. It's fun. It's a fun, bloody film. It's not earth shattering. The Leech is a much more, which I reviewed the other day. It's kind of a much more substantive film that makes you think. And that was the intent of that film, which I think it fulfilled quite well. The intent of this film was to entertain, and to entertain with some really solid visuals and good action, and good gore, and it delivered. Both films delivered on what they were supposed to do. Now, as far as Joe Begos goes, first of all, I wish more people would talk about him. I didn't even connect the dots until I had seen a few of his movies, and then Jason from Horrific Nightmares JM had mentioned his name, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the same guy. And then I sort of became a lot more curious, because I love VFW. It's one of my favorite movies, really. So I'm very curious to see what he comes up with next. All right, there you go, guys. It's on Shudder, streaming. Throw it on, have fun with it. Kill the Robotic Santa movie. There you go. Enjoy. Later. What are your favorite newer? There's been a bunch of new ones. Some of them not good. I've been warned away from a few, believe me, by other reviewers who I trust. What is one of your favorite newer Christmas horror movies, and what is one of your favorite classic Christmas horror movies? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks. Later.